Ladies and gentlemen, we are almost ready to start. If everybody could take their seats, graduates are asked to sit in an aisle seat, please. Thank you so much for finding your seats. Good evening, and welcome to our 8th grade graduation celebration. Please join us in standing for the national anthem and Hatikva. Before we begin, I would like to acknowledge our graduates who tonight are seated with their families. If you are one of our 8th graders, please stand up. You guys are awesome. At this moment, as I look out into the audience and feel the anticipation of tonight's event, there is one bracha that's echoing in my mind. It's the bracha of Shehachianu. Blessed are you, Hashem, King of the universe, who has granted us life, sustained us, and enabled us to reach this occasion. 2 examples when we say Shehachianu are when we are doing a mitzvah or eating a fruit for the first time all year. However, the idea of thanking Hashem for reaching a milestone in life can also apply to each and every one of us tonight. Thank you, Hashem, for keeping us alive and well and allowing each one of us to be here and to have reached this joyous occasion. Our lives hung in the balance the past 15 months, and having us all here together to celebrate is something we no longer take for granted. We are super proud and excited for our program tonight. I will first introduce Rabbi Dr. Kastan, who will be addressing our graduates. Over the past year, Rabbi Kastan has worked around the clock to ensure that our students were kept safe and kept learning. Mrs. Eisen and I would like to express our Hakarat Tov for his help and constant support as we navigated this challenging year and made it a year of productivity and positive school experience for each of our students. Rabbi Kastan.
Hey, Mr. Grumpy Gills. When life gets you down, you know what you got to do?
I don't want to know what you got to do.
Just keep swimming, just keep swimming, just keep swimming, swimming, swim.
Thank you, Mrs. Ellis. I forgot to tell you that you're allowed to take your mask off at the microphone, though. Before I begin and actually explain why we just showed you a piece of Finding Nemo, I actually wanted also to acknowledge the people who also worked around the clock to keep our students safe and thriving this year. So I'm going to ask the entire faculty and administration that's here tonight to stand and be recognized as well. I also want to give a special welcome to our incoming middle school principal, Mrs. or soon to be Dr. Shira Lowenstein. Thank you for being here tonight. So one of my favorite things about graduation is actually when graduates get to decorate their caps. I don't know how many of you decorated your cap tonight. And I remember being at actually my ceremony when I got my doctorate, and there was a group of students who just graduated with their masters. And one woman had this really unique decoration on top of her cap, which was actually a picture of Dory from Finding Nemo and Finding Dory. And the saying that she put on it was, "I just kept swimming." And I thought that that was really neat. And I think that that is very appropriate. You know, certainly as we work through challenges in our life and we have to go through things and we certainly have to show our resilience, that motto really rings true and really resonates for many of us of just keep swimming. And it's also appropriate for a year like this year, like we just had, right? Where many of us, not many of us, all of us lived through this unprecedented time. And all we wanted to do was just keep swimming. Whatever came our way, you know, our motto certainly at school became, we're just rolling with the punches at this point. Every day, every week was something different. But really just keep swimming was a motto that was very appropriate for this year. But then I thought about something else about Dory the fish, which is she actually couldn't remember anything. She had no idea where she came from. She couldn't remember who she was, to the point where it was actually really difficult for her to make a decision moving forward, sometimes from minute to minute or moment to moment, right? She could be told something about what to do or not to do, and she'll immediately forget it. And I found that fascinating. And as I reflected on that, right, somebody with such an incredible motto, an incredible outlook on life of just keep swimming, how could she possibly be in this predicament of just not even being able to make a decision about what to do next? And the answer I've come up with is that in itself is the problem, is she had no identity. She didn't know where she came from. She didn't know what to base her next step or next decision on. The motto of just keep swimming is only half. Our religion in Judaism, in Yiddishkeit, yes, we have been taught to keep swimming. We are a religion that has put up with a lot over the years. And we were taught to just keep swimming, but that's only half of it. The other half of it is that it has to be with thought and intention. It has to be with an understanding and an embrace of where I was, what I just lived through, and more importantly, what I was supposed to get out of the experience. Why was I there? What is it supposed to teach me? Who am I supposed to become? If I don't stop and reflect on that, how could I possibly know what I'm supposed to do? If I don't remember where I've been, how could I possibly know where I'm headed? Our entire religion, our people, everything we're made of, our holidays, our commemorations of challenging times in our history, fast days, chagim, where we commemorate persecutions, where we commemorate times in our life that were so challenging as a people, and we fought through and we were resilient, but we don't forget it. We don't stop talking about it. We discuss it. We ask questions about it. We learn about it. We read books about it because it makes us who we are. Graduates, you have done so much up to this point. And we would have wished for a year for you that was not filled with all these challenges. But this is, as you grow into adulthood, this is part of life. We live through challenges and we keep swimming, but more importantly, it's those challenges that teach us who we are and what we're made of. It's what I'm supposed to become. I can't just keep swimming. It has to be with intention. This year, we lived through another traumatic experience. The news from Israel, as people go to visit the grave of Rav Shimon Bar Yochai, there was a really tragic accident. And it really got me thinking about Rav Shimon Bar Yochai, the man himself who had to quarantine for a cumulative 13 years. First leg was 12 years, and then he came out and then did another year. But it basically went to quarantine with his son. That's it, the two of them, for 13 years. Can we imagine? Man, we went through a few months of quarantine without being able to see other people or really have play dates, and we could barely handle that. Rav Shimon Bar Yochai, the great, the person who gave us the Kabbalah and the secrets of the Torah. The question is, how did he become that way? Because when he went into quarantine with his son, he asked himself, what am I supposed to make of this experience? Why am I here? So he comes out of quarantine on this spiritual madrega, on this pedestal. He knows that he was supposed to get something from the experience that was supposed to transform him in some way. He was supposed to be something else. So certainly as we reflect on the last year, and I hope that as we reflect on the last year, we reflect on the totality of all the years that you've had at Berman, and as you think of the years ahead of you, that you think about this year and ask yourself, what was I supposed to learn from this before you step into the high school, where you are becoming young adults, where you're going to be faced with more challenges and more questions, where your values will be tested in all different ways, where your decisions become more complex. The way we make those decisions by understanding where we came from and who we are and our entire value system. To be able to ask ourselves, I remember I lived through something like this and I know what I was supposed to learn from it. The way we make those decisions, the way it carries us through, the way we keep swimming is by understanding that I had these experiences and I became one because of it. We so often just focus on the parts of COVID that were taken away from us, or the parts of our lives that were taken away from us during COVID. And there were so many people and things that were taken away from us. Possibly there were also things that were given to us. A reprioritization of our values, a better understanding of who we are, a chance to slow things down, to really take things in, an opportunity not to just keep swimming, but to keep swimming with intention, to ask ourselves every day, what is today going to bring and what am I supposed to learn from it? I'll give you a bracha that as you move into high school, as you're faced with more complex decisions, as you are faced with challenges, ask yourself, where did I come from? Who am I supposed to be? Because through those challenges, certainly, and we know them all too well, you should continue to keep swimming. But I give you bracha to keep swimming with intention, to the point where it really molds you into the people that we all know you already are and will become. Mazal tov.
Wow. Tonight, you will hear teachers speak about each of our graduates. At Berman, there's no such thing as the ideal student, but rather there are numerous ways for our students to succeed. Please enjoy part one of our highlighting each individual student and his or her accomplishments.
Hi, I'm Karen Phillips, and I am so delighted to be speaking to you today about Sarah Barron. Sarah has demonstrated over and over again this year that she has an incredible work ethic and desire to learn. Whenever Sarah isn't quite sure she has a perfect understanding of material, she asks questions during class or checks in after class. Sarah has the wonderful quality of always trying to improve. In addition to having excellent student skills, Sarah is kind and polite. I feel lucky and grateful that I had the opportunity to teach Sarah. I'm certain she will enjoy much success in upper school.
Hi, this is Rabbi Benjamin Krakauer speaking to you about Ariel Katan. Ariel, Mazel Tov on advancing from 8th grade into the upper school. There's hardly a hard-working person as Ariel. She applies herself 110% to whatever she's doing, and all the while with a beautiful smile, a wonderful attitude, and always looking to understand as well as she could. Ariel is a friend to everybody. I've never heard a mean word cross her lips. Ariel, you are a model Talmidah, and you will be missed, at least by me, and I'm sure by others in the middle school. But then again, our loss is the upper school's gain. Mazel Tov, Ariel.
Hi, I want to tell you that it's been a pleasure teaching Akiva an English class this past year. Akiva's curiosity, maturity, and interest in learning, especially in the area of psychology, have made classes with him interesting and added to everyone's learning. Akiva's enjoyment of reading and creative writing sparked conversations that continued outside of class. Akiva genuinely cares for others and shows through his actions that he's kind and generous. Akiva, I know you can do great things. I look forward to hearing about your accomplishments in the upper school next year.
Hi, my name is Rabbi Levitt, and I have the honor of speaking about Eitan Janis. Eitan is fun, he is smart, and he is friendly. Eitan is respectful to his teachers and kind to his classmates. But what really sets Eitan apart is his midah v'achrayut, responsibility. When something needs to get done, Eitan is always the one to step up and help. A great example of this is the way Eitan volunteered to serve as gabbai of the 8th grade minyan this year. At first over Zoom, And later, back on campus, Eitan organized the chazanim and laners. He did so without seeking attention or praise, just because he saw a need and wanted to help. This midah will serve you so well in high school and in life, Eitan. Leadership starts with achrayut, responsibility. You are well on your way. Mazal tov in your graduation.
Hi, Rachel Kosowski here. It's a pleasure to be speaking about Shayel Laney. When thinking of Shayel, a line from Sefer Tehillim from our Psalms comes to mind. Kol kavuda bat melech pnima. All the honor of a princess is on the inside. In her very understated and graceful way, Shayel is a powerhouse. Her soft-spoken nature belies an impressive intellect. She consistently has a kind word and a smile for others, and is an exceptionally strong student, working hard to successfully master what we are learning. In this way, Shayel combines strength of character with her natural talents to accomplish great things. Shayel, I am confident that you will continue to do so much as you move forward, and wish you much hatzlacha in high school and beyond.
Layla is going to be missed next year in the middle school. My name is Mrs. Madar Lazarus, and I taught Layla Hebrew this year. Layla has had an impact on her peers because she is an example of a student who is academically committed, but also a free and adventurous spirit. Layla, if I had a crystal ball, I would like to foresee you being actively involved in the student council and the social activities in the upper school, making sure that fun is all around. I am looking forward to seeing you upstairs. I wish you hatzlacha rabba.
Hi, my name is Meenu Chopra, and I'm here to tell you why Dahlia is a wonderful student in our middle school. Dahlia loves learning. She always sets high standards for herself and works hard to achieve them. I truly admire her never quit attitude, patience, and positive outlook. I remember that during difficult chemistry chapters, she often used her lunchtime to meet me to understand the material. Sometimes she emailed me to clarify her doubts and to ask for additional practice questions. Her sincere commitment to learning and mature work habits will definitely take her far in life. Dahlia, I will truly miss you next year in middle school and can't wait to see you blossom in upper school. Good luck in upper school.
Hi, my name is Mrs. Isser, and I'm here to tell you why Sophia Ovadia is a wonderful student in our middle school. Sophia has the midah of anava, humility. I know this because I have had the pleasure of teaching Sophia for 2 years, 6th grade Ivrit and 8th grade Ivrit. Sophia is a heritage speaker, but she would never be boastful and tell other students that she knows Ivrit better than others. She is kind and caring of her peers and makes sure to make them feel good about themselves. She is always trying to look at the good points, even when we read a story and there is a character that is not so nice. Sophia will always try to find the good in that character. This is a very special midah, and it is an important midah for being successful in life because she is open to seeing the good in others. I know that Sophia will be very successful in all that she does. Hatzlacha rabba in the upper school, Sophia.
Ezra is a charming young man who wants to do well in algebra. He's willing to work hard and can count on him to have his work done on time. Ezra is a serious student, but he also knows how to have fun. For example, on Maccabea Day, he led the whole team to a victorious day. And this is a very good combination of his character traits as a leader, and that will serve him very well in the future. Thank you.
Thinking of Eli Teitelbaum brings to mind the image of Eli gliding up and down the basketball court, leaping and hitting shots with the grace of a ballet dancer. If you've seen it, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Eli's skill and grace extends to his Torah learning as well. He is an accomplished and responsible learner who takes pride in a job excellently done. Eli contributes thoughtful comments to class discussions. Eli, I wish you tremendous hatzlacha.
Kids often tell me they are not able to do work or not able to be in school on time or not be able to stretch to reach a high academic or religious goal. Shimon Wexler is the exact opposite. When faced with a challenge, he dives in head first. Whether it was transferring to Berman, returning in the middle of a pandemic, laning all the pieces for his bar mitzvah, or doing extra science work, Shima always finds a way to accomplish whatever he sets his mind to. And he has set very high expectations of himself. Mazel tov, Shima.
It has been such a pleasure getting to know Ranan this year. I've loved having the opportunity to learn Chumash with him, Renan is full of life and excited about class each and every day. He always participates in every conversation and is discussing each one of the Mfarshim's point of view, what they are trying to get at, and Renan loves to help other students to learn more. If this were college, Renan would be the TA of the class. But what's most impressive about Renan is the ability to see things from different perspectives at the same time. It's been a true honor to get to know you this year, Renan.
My name is Abby Goldblum-Helsner, and I'm so excited to be able to speak about Yael Chin today. I've had the great honor of teaching Yael in Algebra 1 this year. She's a serious student, a dedicated and conscientious young woman who's also humble and kind. These are traits that come naturally to her. In class, she's always engaged and is willing to adapt to whatever comes her way. When we're diving into a really complex problem, I can count on Yael to tackle it with persistence and creativity. I encourage students to problem solve in different ways, and she's a student who takes that to heart. She's also a great friend to her classmates. She's willing to help others when they need it, and she always has a positive attitude. She's a very, very special young woman, and I hope I'll have the opportunity to teach her again in the upper school. Yael, I look forward to hearing about all your accomplishments next year and beyond.
Hi, Rachel Kasowski here. I'm super excited to be speaking about Eden Honey. Eden has many fine qualities as an individual and a student. One quality which stands out is her ability to use humor, both to have fun and to be helpful. Her sense of humor was on full display when we switched to virtual learning last year, and I found myself teaching a potato, which sounded remarkably like Eden. Prior to that, our class was entertained and enlightened by some dramatic hints, which Eden created and performed to help her classmates remember vocabulary words. Eden is also a serious student who has a knack for summing up complex ideas in a straightforward way, helping others grasp what we are learning. These are but a few examples of why I have so appreciated learning with Eden these past 2 years. Eden, I wish you much hatzlacha moving forward and look forward to hearing great things about you in your high school career and beyond.
My name is Daria Semchenkova, and today I'm happy to speak about Ariana Kaplan. I had the pleasure to teach her Ivrit this year. She would always be in the classroom when I came in, and I could immediately feel kindness coming from her. Ariana is a very hardworking and diligent student who is enthusiastic about learning and using the new knowledge right away. What really makes Ariana special is the midah of kavod, which is about respect, recognition, and dignity. Ariana is always respectful, patient, and kind to all her classmates and everyone around her. I remember one day after the class, as she was leaving the room, she said to me, "Thank you for teaching us." Those words touched me so deeply. I never see gratitude as something to be taken for granted. Ariana might seem quiet and shy, but she has a big personality and a very rich world inside, which I'm sure will grow bigger and brighter every year. Batzlacha in high school.
Hi, my name is Dr. Stern, and I'd love to tell you why Dana Lazar is such a super student in the middle school. Dana, from the start of the year, you've put your all into every assignment and then always cheerfully and quickly implement feedback. You pay such close attention to corrections that you never make the same mistake twice. Your writing and your projects are always thoughtful with interesting details. In class, you're enthusiastically ready with your hand raised to answer questions or to ask me very smart ones, volunteer to read, or jump into class discussions. And while you meet every deadline early, you're always just on time to class because you're also very, very good at socializing and making the most of every aspect of school. I can't wait to see you shining just as brightly in and out of class in the upper school.
Hi, my name is Meenu Chopra, and I would love to tell you why Dina Lesnoy is a star student in our middle school. I taught Dina in 7th and 8th grade. In our science class, Dina was so dedicated both as a student and as a friend. She always paid close attention to details, no matter how small the assignment is, and committed to excellence. She participated enthusiastically in everything from the labs to the Rube Goldberg project and made teaching so much fun. Dina is not only an excellent student, but is very kind, sweet, and the most caring and helpful person I know. She's a friend that other students can count on. She's always willing to help a classmate who needs help. Thank you, Dina, for bringing such warmth, positivity, and light to our class. I will truly miss you next year in middle school and wish you to continue shining brightly in upper school. Good luck.
Yes, we're really going to miss them. Going to miss them. Students and faculty voted for 2 student representatives to speak on behalf of the 8th grade class. I am proud to introduce Eden Hannock, one of our many mature, hardworking students, to address you tonight. Please come on up, Eden.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you all for coming to celebrate our graduation. As we sit here together for the first time in a while after being separated for so long, we have finally overcome the hurdle that was this past year. A theme that struck me in last week's Parsha was the concept of division. Korach was the leader of one of the 3 branches in the tribe of Levi, Kahat. They were the ones who carried the parts of the Mishkan when traveling. Although this position was a huge honor, Korach was not satisfied with his role. He ended up gathering a group of people to challenge the status of Aharon's priesthood. This incident ended in God causing the ground to open up and swallow them. While reading this, a question crossed my mind. What could we learn from this story, and how could we apply this to our personal lives? We learn a valuable lesson from the pasuk, Vayishlach Moshe likro leDatan ve'Aviram, and Moshe sent for Datan and Aviram. These 2 men in the pasuk are key figures to how this story played out. Datan and Aviram were notorious for being the first to complain whenever anything went wrong. Moshe knew the extent that these men were willing to go to make his life difficult, yet he still chose to look for them to talk things over and make peace. As a middle schooler, I'm sure you all know that there is no drama ever. Okay, maybe not. But this lesson of seeking peace is one that I have seen restore a person's self-esteem and kept friendships from falling apart. We have learned that good friendships and any successful endeavor take work and communication. While we can say that we survived a global pandemic and all that it came with, we did not manage to avoid the awkwardness of middle school. These last 3 years have been packed full of new friends, new trends, and a few voice cracks here and there. In 6th grade, we suffered from awkward selfies, became addicted to Fortnite dances, and couldn't get the yodels of the Walmart yodeling kid out of our heads. In 7th grade, we had the we're not 6th graders anymore, so we are above everyone else syndrome, had our Shabbaton at Shoresh, discovered that the opposite gender exists, and we had our 2 weeks of quarantine vacation. Now we're in the highly anticipated and dreaded 8th grade, and it has been an amazing and eventful year. As 8th graders, we organized the Unshabbaton, created a yearbook, made an unofficial color war, helped the 6th and 7th graders with Matmidim, and now we're graduating. In all seriousness, this year is very different, but our grade has created a special bond from this experience, and I could not be more proud to share this special moment with anyone else. Lastly, a huge thank you to everyone who has helped us along the way. To our rabbis, who have been there to answer our questions and provide for us a way to understand things through a Torah lens. To our teachers, who have guided us and prepared for us for the next 4 years and even beyond that. To our administration, who are there to take care of our needs and organize so many things to give this unique year a sense of normality. To my classmates, what a year. We've managed to lead the middle school and hopefully made all of our teachers proud. And to our parents, how could we thank you enough? You've believed in us since day one and given us an amazing education, which we are so privileged to have. For all the tightly squeezed mornings, bad test grades, and never hearing the end of middle school drama, thank you. Lastly, I would like to thank everyone present today for coming to celebrate this joyous occasion with us. Mazel tov.
Please stay tuned for video part 2.
My name is Abby Goldblum-Helsner, and I'm thrilled to be able to speak about Esther Dubosky today. Esther was new to our school this year, and I was lucky enough to have her in my 8th grade Algebra 1 class. But I met Esther before she officially joined our math class, because last summer she came regularly to the summer math office hours, and I got to know the soft-spoken, polite, and mild-mannered young woman that would soon join my class. What I didn't know is that it would just take a little time for her to come out of her shell. And this year I've seen a tremendous amount of growth, both academically and socially. Whereas at the start of the year, she was quiet and shy in my class. By the end of the year, she shined with self-confidence. She initiated participation. She tried to challenge problems and was always willing to share her solutions with the rest of the class. She's also someone who will drop everything to help a classmate understand a concept. Esther, you have a big heart, and I can't wait to see what you do in the upper school.
I admire Hoshen Hayun for the way she is able to communicate what she is feeling and her ability to organize and plan. When faced with challenges, Hoshen is able to apologize and change course. This is a hard midah to develop and one that takes constant practice. I also appreciate Hoshen's help planning extracurricular activities and always being willing to pitch in. Hoshen, please remember that your middle school family is watching to see your continued growth. We know you'll do great. One day in the future, Simcha Katzoff will be a famous scientist or mathematician, and I will be able to say he took 9th grade math zooming from my office. Simcha has the midah of emet, truth. He does not waver from being truthful and searching for the right answer. Even with his serious and focused demeanor, Simcha's great sense of humor is a wonderful delight. We'll miss you and hatzlacha next year, Simcha.
It's always a pleasure to teach students like Yonah Letterman. What really stood out back when I first met him when he was in 6th grade was how curious he was to learn about anything and everything. Well, it turns out this is totally true about the 8th grade Yonah as well. He asks good questions and then spends time investigating and searching for answers. Most importantly, Yonah is a real mensch, always incredibly polite and always willing to help others. Wishing you all the best in upper school, Yonah.
When I think Simcha Levitt, I think bright, I think witty, and I think Baal Midot. When I taught Simcha in 7th grade Navi, he astounded me by drawing upon a comment of Rashi that we had learned a year earlier in 6th grade Chumash. He showed himself to be capable of the high-level type of Torah learning that only takes place when you can pull together information from different sections of the Torah. Simcha, you have a bright future ahead of you as a Ben Torah and a Baal Aliyah. I wish you tremendous hatzlacha.
Hi, I'm Rabbi Rothman, and I'm here to speak about a very special student in the middle school called Moshe Orenstein. I taught Moshe in 6th grade in the Mishnah class and have got to see him grow over the years that he's spent in middle school. Moshe has a lot of fine qualities. He's a smart boy, asks great questions. But one thing in particular that stands out to me is his midot tovot, his great character traits. Moshe has a fun side, but he always knows when to keep it in check and behave appropriately. Whether with teachers, Rebbeim, friends, he always knows how to act, and it's really something special for me to see how over the years, how he's turned into this really mature young man. Moshe, we wish you a lot of success in high school next year, and all the best.
I've had the pleasure to know Zach for quite a few years now, both out of school in a camp setting and also now in school setting as well. And it is just such a pleasure to know him and now also get to know him in school as well. I could talk about how thoughtful he is and how talented and athletic and all of those things really do stick out. But the number one thing that really stands out about Zach is he is just such a good person. He's a true mensch. He's somebody who, no matter what's going on, he's always acting the right way. He's always the first person to, make sure that somebody's doing okay if they fall or get hurt. He's a true team player, even when things aren't going well, even, in sports, if his team isn't doing well, he's just a positive person. He's that first person to say hello in the morning when you see him. And he is just a true mensch in every sense of the word. It's been a pleasure getting to know him both in the camp setting and now in school. And I know he's going to be really, really successful with the amazing characteristics and midos that he carries.
Hi, I'm Karen Phillips, and I'm so excited to be here tonight to speak to you about Ayelet Solomon. I look forward to every class with Ayelet because I love to watch her think. When Ayelet is intrigued by an idea, she pauses, tips her head a bit to one side, and makes a truly insightful comment. Similarly, when Ayelet writes, she carefully crafts each sentence. In addition to being a deep thinker, Ayelet is a good friend and classmate. She is equally at ease hanging out with her peers and learning everything she can. I can't wait to see what Ayelet accomplishes in upper school and in life.
It has been a pleasure teaching Tali Vogel Ivrit both in 6th grade and in 8th grade. Tali is a very creative thinker, and this is evident in the way that she creates presentations and projects, as well as in the way that she answers questions on reading or listening passages in Ivrit. I remember how hard she worked in 6th grade Ivrit when she created a very memorable poster about recycling when we were learning about protecting the environment. She took great pain in making sure that her slogan was correct in Ivrit and that all the pieces fit together perfectly on the side. Tali sets a high bar for herself in terms of her studies, and I know that she'll be successful in all of her future endeavors because she is not afraid to work hard. Good luck in the upper school next year. Hatzlacha rabah, Tali.
It's always a pleasure to teach students like Micah. Micah is a smart student who excelled this year in science. He's good at problem solving and figuring out how things work. It is always exciting to see his engineering mind in action. He's great at doing labs and understanding complex information. Outside of the classroom, Micah writes and fixes bikes and is interested in computers. I enjoyed teaching Micah and know he will make us proud in high school.
I'd like to speak about Sammy Grayson. This is Rabbi Benjamin Krakauer. I've had the pleasure of having Sammy for 2 years in the middle school. If I had to think of one word to describe Sammy, it would be creative. Actually, another word would be, it's not one word, but out of the box, meaning he takes everything that he gets his hands on out of the box. Sammy loves to take things apart and rebuild them in ways that no one ever thought possible. Sammy is an amazing thinker. He always has deep thoughts. He can put things together, not just with his hands, but also in his mind in ways that really, really create unbelievable things. I know that next year and for the years after, Sammy will be very matzliach in upper school and beyond. Sammy, we'll miss you down here. Mazel tov.
Hi, it's Bill, and I'm honored to speak about Emma Hanish. Emma brings so much excitement to school. Emma is always busy, but finds time for an energetic conversation between her rides from Baltimore and Hardwood. Emma is kind and friendly, shows so much care for the people around her. I'm excited for you to continue shine upstairs. Mazel tov, Emma.
My name is Rabbi Middleman, and I am proud of my student Akiva Kugler. Akiva demonstrates a love for Torah each day in class. He volunteers to read the Gemara all the time, and he often had exciting discussions about the topics we learned. Akiva has the ingredients to make him a Gemara success. He is fluent with the text, he can analyze a situation and come up with strong follow-up questions. He is willing to put in the time it takes to master a piece of Gemara. I hope that this passion continues to grow, and I wish him a huge mazal tov.
Hi, Mitchell. It has been such a pleasure getting to know you for the last 2 years and being your English teacher this year. I have learned so much about hockey, especially the Montreal Canadiens. And I have loved listening to your ideas about the world, about politics, hearing all the things that you wanted to share this year. You are going to rock in high school. Congratulations.
I have had the pleasure of teaching Serena in both 6th and 8th grades.
Serena is someone who loves life, is grateful for what she has, and is extremely creative. As the Chagim ambassador, she was excited about enhancing the hallways and the students' connection to the Chagim, especially during this difficult year. Serena, you are someone who optimizes Ivdu et Hashem b'simcha, serving Hashem with happiness. Your talents and real simcha will serve you well in the future. You're going to do great in upper school next year. Make sure you come back and visit.
Hi, my name is Dr. Stern, and I'm happy to share why Kira is a very special student in the middle school. Kira is kind to her classmates, and they love flocking to her desk and talking with her before, during, and after class because she's genuinely friendly and a thoughtful listener. Kira is also highly self-aware and is very good at advocating for herself, asking clear and precise questions, and requesting feedback and acting on it. Kira stands out for her truly outstanding note-taking. Kira writes very thorough notes, which she takes the time to read and study so she can be ready for more learning. I can always count on Kira to know new vocabulary and ideas and help others review them because she studied and paid attention to her notes so carefully in class. Kira, I'm excited to see where your impressive skills in Midot are going to take you in the upper school. Go.
Hi, my name is Melanie Eisen, and I am here to tell you why Izzy Orlovsky is a wonderful student at our school. Izzy has the Midah of Hakarat Hatov, or appreciation. I know this because Izzy looks to see how he can say thank you, show support, and recognize the work of those around him. I will never forget when I asked my students last year to create a bucket list. Number 1 was to see his sisters get married, and number 2 was to work with his father, who he admires so strongly. The Midah of Hakarat Hatov is important for being successful in life because being thankful will help you create and maintain relationships with those who will support you for the rest of your life. Mazal Tov, Izzy.
I have had the privilege of teaching Meryl this year in Toshba. Although Meryl is all about fun and enjoying the moment, she's also extremely deep, thought through, and connected to our heritage. Meryl enhances each conversation we have in class and always has something to add that's inspiring. Meryl, your ability to see this world through a much clearer lens that connects you to your Masorah will take you very far in life. Life presents challenges, but if you can always connect to Torah in this very real way, you will always have a light to lead you. I have really enjoyed teaching you this year, and I wish you much hatzlacha next year in the upper school. Come back and visit.
Haley Well is going to be missed next year in the middle school. My name is Susan Oppenheim, and I had the pleasure of teaching Haley in 6th grade. She was always so thoughtful and helpful in all sorts of situations. Things that needed volunteers always had Haley's name on their list. If a student needed help with something, you could count on Haley to have one of the first hands raised. The upper school will be so lucky to have her. Good luck next year, Haley.
You can see why we love our jobs and are privileged to spend the days with your children. Next, I'd like to introduce Daniel Winters. Daniel is everyone's friend, and his derech eretz is something we can all aspire to. Please welcome Daniel Winters.
Welcome, everyone. My classmates and I are honored to be celebrating this important milestone with you tonight. I'd like to share a concept we learned this year. In Gemara with Rabbi Middleman, we learned about the Jewish legal system. We learned that if somebody kills by mistake, he or she is still responsible, and therefore there are consequences. Elu Hanagarim Ha'nefesh Bishkaga. We see there is a punishment for someone who inadvertently kills. They didn't plan or act in anger, yet they are still on the hook. What else can we learn from this Gemara? We learned that if we are held responsible for negligence, all the more so we will be rewarded when we take initiative. We believe that not only are we responsible when something bad happens, we are also responsible to make good choices, and the Torah says we will be rewarded when we stand up and do what's right. This idea applies to our class and our experiences over the past 3 years. We were taught many times and in many ways about taking initiative. Once, when we were in 6th grade, Rabbi Shields came into our class when a teacher was running late. He took a quick look at what we were learning and continued teaching from the same spot until our teacher arrived. This showed us that regardless of what is happening, we can make good use of our time by taking initiative to continue learning. In 7th grade with Rabbi Frank, we learned that even Jewish kings, leaders, they make mistakes. And when they do, they take initiative to do teshuva and to publicly apologize. We learned another example of initiative this year as 8th graders while working on school activities. I saw how important it was for each of us to follow through on what we agreed to do. Eitan, Dina, Eli, Ayelet, they all made it happen. Whether it was yearbook, Avodah Hashem assemblies, or just the 8th grade sweatshirts. They and many other 8th graders took responsibility and made this a year we will remember. Over these last 3 years, we have had many assemblies, many meetings, and many, many donuts. We drank volcanoes, mosh pit in the hallways, stole Rabbi Rothman's Mazel Tov taffies, took way too many breaks, had push-up contests with waiters, did dog Looney at Boys Color War, and surprisingly, we actually learned. I think that we owe so much to our teachers for guiding us through middle school and teaching us the Torah values that our school stands for. You've guided us to learn new academic skills like algebra and Torah values like Derech Eretz and Achrayut and how to work together. I want to ask Ms. Eisen, Ms. Alice, and all the teachers at Berman and the staff at Berman who have helped us get to this day to please stand up. Last of all, I would like to thank our parents. You have done so much for us these last 3 years, from signing us up to sports teams, to waking us up in the morning, making our lunches and driving us to all the carpools, to all the school events, and most importantly, making it possible for us to go to a Jewish day school. I want to thank our parents for giving us the opportunity to graduate from Berman Middle School and making all this happen. Thank you.
It's the real thing. Finally, our last video segment. If you have not seen yourself yet, it is now your turn.
Avner Martin gets the award for the student with the longest commute. Yes. While he's been virtual this year, we've missed Avner's sharp mind and sensitive heart. Avner is someone who's easy to speak to and is able to communicate well in conversation, even from afar. We wish you much luck next year, Avner. Hatzlacha.
It's my pleasure to tell you about the amazing Ariella Parnas. I was fortunate to work with Ariella for 2 years, and she taught me a lot of math during those years. She also kept me company every Friday morning when we learned together how everyday items like bubblegum and soap are made. I'm not sure I remember all of the details, but I will remember how excited you are to do pretty much anything and how your indomitable spirit can galvanize any room towards any cause. Keep being your amazing self, and best of luck in the coming years.
Itai is going to be missed next year in the middle school. My name is Mrs. Madar Lazarus, and I am fortunate to teach Itai once again this year. I taught Itai in 6th grade. Itai, you shared with me your commitment to learning the Hebrew language so you can speak with your family in Israel. Your commitment is showing. You were engaged throughout the year, and your positive energy elevated our learning. Itai, you are also caring and respectful. You are always quick to offer your help to erase the board, to place the partitions for mincha, and to turn off the remoteless projector. Itai, I wish you batzlacha in the upper school. I know we are lucky to have you up there.
I will miss seeing Zahavala in the middle school hallway next year. Zahava exudes the midah of re'ut, friendship. Zahava's kind, gentle manner brightens her friends' and teachers' days. Zahava also has the midah of hatmada, persistence. When things are challenging, she takes a deep breath and dives in. Both of these midot will serve Zahava well as she moves into high school. Her friendships will support her as she will support them through the great times and the challenging times. Much hatzlacha, Zahava.
Daniel Winters is an accomplished student who was driven by his idealism. Way back in 6th grade Chumash, students needed to search for Dvar Torah as part of a project we were working on. Not Daniel, he knew right away exactly which alshich he wanted to share, and he remembered it perfectly. It struck me how connected he felt to that particular Torah thought. I am confident that Daniel's idealism will continue to drive high achievement as he continues on to upper school. Daniel, I wish you tremendous hatzlacha.
I can't believe I was the lucky one chosen to speak about Gavi. Gavi is complex, a bit of a puzzle. He's a serious student and also seriously good at doing nothing at all. He loves challenging math questions, but I never felt like he appreciated the homework I gave him. But moving past those contradictions, Gavi is clearly a force to be reckoned with. He has an exciting future and many friends and teachers who are eager to help him get there. Best of luck next year in the upper school.
There is no question that Hannah is destined for great things. She's a motivated student who has demonstrated that she can learn and accomplish whatever she sets her mind to. Although Hannah comes across as a quiet student, I've always admired the way that she's passionate about the things she believes in and will speak up for what she thinks is right. Hannah, thanks for being an inspiration to me over the past 3 years. Mazel tov on your graduation. I will miss you next year.
My name is Mrs. Atlas, and I am here to tell you why Ariel Hassan is a wonderful student at our school. Ariel is a person who's constantly working to refine his midot and to become the best person possible. I know this because, like many 6th graders, Ariel was less mature and sometimes found himself in trouble for speaking before thinking. Over the past 3 years, Ariel has worked to be not only one of our star basketball players, but a leader who is a role model for others. The ability to take feedback and use it to become a better person is something even many adults struggle with. Ariel's ability to be introspective and to make changes in himself is a key to a successful life. We will miss Ariel in middle school next year.
Hi, I want to tell you that I've enjoyed teaching Zach for the past 2 years in 7th and 8th grade English. Zach was always the first to arrive in class, both when in-person learning and when on Zoom. I appreciated that as it gave us a minute or two for chatting before class began. Zach is always so helpful too. He resolved many of my technology challenges over the past 2 years, and I even remember a time when Zach located a missing table from our classroom that had somehow ended up in the little gym. It's been so nice for me to see Zach grow into a student who is responsible, attentive, and engaged in our class discussions. I know you'll do great in the upper school next year, Zach.
I'd like to tell you about Elia Lazarus. I met Elia when she was younger and would accompany her mother on days before school started. She could be found helping with bulletin boards, setting up classrooms, running errands, and generally making our lives a lot less hectic. Finally, she was in 6th grade and a student in my science class. Elia is a good friend and always had a crowd of kids around her. The day we exploded our volcanoes happened to be her birthday. Imagine the surprise when the volcano erupted and the class spontaneously burst out singing, "Happy birthday." I know the upper school will be so happy to have you.
One of Rena Levitt's outstanding qualities is savlanut, patience. I know this because during the time that Rena spent on Zoom this year, it was stressful. Sometimes the Zoom was fuzzy or the sound wasn't working right. Many students became frustrated or angry. While I'm sure that Rena felt upset sometimes, you could not tell from her expression on the camera or from her emails to me about classwork. Instead, she was calm and always polite, willing to come to each class and try again. We're glad that Rena's back in the building now, and her ability to reintegrate back into the large groups of people at school is another example of where Rena's patient, calm attitude has served her well. Rena, hatzlacha in upper school next year.
Hi, my name is Rabbi Binyamin Krakauer. I'd like to extend a hearty mazel tov to Sarah Mizrahi on advancing from the 8th grade into the upper school. Sarah is a soft-spoken young lady who works hard, is well-liked by everybody, has a twinkle in her eye all the time, and it's been a pleasure having her in class. In particular, I worked with Sarah during this year's Color War, and I was quite impressed with the depth of her thinking and the quality of her work. Mazel Tov and Hatzlacha Rabbah next year.
It is always a pleasure to teach students like Jordan. I taught Jordan in 6th grade, and I am fortunate to be teaching her Hebrew this year as well. Jordan is eager to learn Hebrew. Her connection to Israel is strong. She often shares with us stories about her family that brings our learning to life. She's also a dedicated student. She consistently works hard, and she is a team player who is ready to help when help is needed. This dedication, level of engagement, and care for her learning and for her friends impressed me. Jordan, they are lucky to have you in the Upper School. I have no doubt that she will continue to thrive and inspire us in the upcoming years. See you upstairs. That's Lacha.
Ariel Shiloh will one day be a famous engineer or architect. And when he invents something really cool, I will tell people that I was his teacher. Ariel loves to study science, to design and build things, and he's a talented artist too. When Ariel takes his time and puts in effort, he has great success. And even more importantly, he's a very good friend to his peers. Wishing you all the best in Upper School, Ariel.
Hi, Joe. It has been such a pleasure getting to know you this year and teaching you in English. You asked the most interesting and amazing questions about all of the books that we have read. I can't wait to see what you do in the future. Congratulations.
It has been a pleasure getting to know David this year. David is an incredibly creative and original thinker, something that I appreciate in our Chumash class. David takes his work very seriously, is one of those students who is quietly thinking about all those other connections into other areas of life. One time when we were discussing Yosef's dream, David asked, does this mean that everything we learned in 4th grade was wrong? This question opened up a whole new perspective for the class, that there are so many other ways to approach the text and that each person should have their own derech limud, their own way to see the world. Every day, David will ask a question or make a comment that shows both his humor and his deep thoughts. It's been my pleasure to learn Chumash with you this year, David. Keep up the great work and good luck next year in high school.
Shalom for Benji. Benji is a unique kind of student. He is smart, but he's unaware of how smart he is. Once Benji realizes that he knows a topic or specific skill, he flies through the rest of the practice book. I have enjoyed getting to be in class with Benji and also being his chess opponent. He's just too good. I wish Benji good luck in Upper School next year. Shalom.
Graduates, as you can see, as I said earlier, we don't need a pandemic to teach you who you are and what you're about. Your teachers and your administrators have already done that with you. And as I said, it's who we are. You were able to thrive, not just survive, you were able to thrive this year because of who we are and what you've learned. It's not that the pandemic has taught us that we were able to thrive through it because of those things. So remember, as you move on, that we do not need a pandemic to teach us that. We have those experiences built in to our Berman education and to who we are as a people. Every bracha you make is about pausing and doing something with intention. Every piece of Chumash or Gemara or Torah that you learn is about making connections and pausing and understanding. Every interaction you have, every mitzvah you do is about pausing and doing it with kavanah. So I'm so excited to ask the girls to start lining up, and it is my absolute honor to now introduce Mrs. Melanie Eisen to start us off.
Tov, everybody. It's been a pleasure to work with you all. Let's give a round of applause for our graduates. Sarah Barron. Ariel Katan. Yael Chin. Esther Dubosky. Eden Hannock. Hoshen Hayun. Emma Hennish. Ariana Kaplan. Shael Laney. Dana Lazar. Aaliyah Lazarus. Boys, go ahead and get lined up. Layla Lehman. Dina Lesnoy. Rena Levitt. You're getting your workout, yeah. Kira Lowenstein. Okay, I want you all cheering for me. Dahlia Margulies. Sarah Mizrahi. Sophia Ovadia. Ariella Parnes. Jordan Pinchat. Serena Price. Ayelet Solomon. Meryl Sugar. Zahava Tolchinsky Cohen. Tally Vogel. Haley Well. Rabbi Krakauer, can you join us on stage? All right, gentlemen. Renan Berman. Go in the, yeah, you have, go back and forth. Gavi Beanstalk. Benji Book. Micah Bozoff. Sammy Grayson. Akiva Gross. Ariel Hassan. Eitan Janice. Zach Katz. Simcha Katzah. Akiva Kugler. Yona Letterman. Mitchell Letterman. Mitchell. Wow. Simcha Levitt. I'll take some time. Moshe Ornstein. Izzy Orlovsky. Zach Porat. Ezra Raskin. Itai Rosemarin. Wow. Ariel Shiloh. Eli Teitelbaum. Dove Unell. Shima Wexler. Oh. All right, Daniel Winters. David Wolf. Graduates, please stand. Can we turn the lights on so everybody can recognize the graduates? Oh, Berman community, you can do better than that. They worked hard.
You made it. I'd like to thank our faculty and support staff for the time and effort it took to put together tonight's celebration. I'd like to specifically thank Sarah Sickerman, who goes above and beyond to make sure we had the graduation that is befitting our incredible kids and their parents. We will be having Mincha Maariv beginning in 5 minutes in the band room, and we have dessert boxes for each student to take back to enjoy with their families at home. We're so proud of you, and have a good night.